I would like to read from A Course in Miracles from chapter 7. And here Jesus says, I give only love to the kingdom because I believe that was what I was. So what would happen when we give only love to the world, to everything? Would we live in a different world? Is it true that the world reflects only what we give in this moment? Think about it for a moment. If you let go your anger, your fear, your defenses, if you could unite totally with this moment, if you could relax thoroughly enough to unite with the field which is your consciousness, would it be different? Would you be in heaven suddenly? Yes, you would. Heaven seems to be impossible for you to reach when you try to stretch out beyond time and space, or when you look in the future, when you try to develop spiritual practice to reach enlightenment in the future. Osho was talking about this when he was writing about his enlightenment. He said, somewhere on the journey I just gave up. And in the moment he gave up searching, fighting for enlightenment, making himself better, the enlightenment came to him by revealing that the truth was already where he was. But he said it was necessary to walk the way, to walk the path, until this point of surrender. So the acknowledgement of heaven is a two-step path. First, it entails the surrender what is to what is now. The agreement that you have nothing to say about what is now, that it is that part of you which you have denied and projected out into the world, and which wants to be relieved, saved, healed, and loved by you. Jesus says, I give only love. So therefore he remembered himself, because that's what he was. So is that also what you are? So when you surrender to this moment, then you can see what is behind the curtain of the world. This is you. This is your higher self. It is just here. But when you defend yourself against anything in the world, when you think there's something outside of you, you will not discover your true self. You have to let it come back to you. You have to allow it to emerge with you, to vibrate you differently. Let your body vibrate in a different frequency. That it is allowed to open itself to the space of consciousness, which is who you are. When you give only love, you discover that you are only love. So he says, I give only love to the kingdom because I believe that was what I was. What you believe you are determines your gifts. And if God created you by extending himself to you, you can only extend yourself as he did. So God extended himself to you, meaning you are the channel of his creation. But in this world you're blocking this freely stream of creation, creative energy, because the ego always tells you, hold back, keep for yourself, because otherwise you will not survive. Therefore you're blocking excuse me, the extension of God's energy to you. And to overcome the world, which is the purpose of the gnosis of the Course in Miracles, is to extend yourself freely, to give yourself away, to be creative again, to extend only love. Then you remember who you are, and in that moment You have overcome space-time. God extended himself to you means also that you are God, that you are powerful, that you are not a victim of the world you see, that you are here because you ask for that experience, and you can decide differently. Maybe you have spent many lifetimes, many dream sequences, because this is just one life. Maybe you have spent thousands of years here, and in this sequence you may decide that this is enough and that you want to have another experience, that you want to remember who you are, or that you want to come home like the prodigal son in Luke, the Gospel of Luke. And when you have this yearning to come home, you may engage in a serious practice like the Course in Miracles, which is the practice of forgiveness. What does it mean to forgive? It does not mean that you forgive something, what somebody else did to you. It means that you take total responsibility for the world you see, and admit that you did this to yourself, that you invented the world, that you are the dreamer of the world. This is a very radical message. It tells you that there's nothing for you here to find. Only God will satisfy you. I can get no satisfaction. This is very true when you look outside of yourself. But your whole self is still here with you. But only by defending against anything, you're losing sight of it. And by surrendering to what is now, by relaxing your energy, you remember somehow in the tranquility and peace of your being who you are. You are infinite, you are not limited. But there is no middle neutral ground between being a body, being limited, physical, and being infinite mind, spirit. Either you are one or the other. So therefore you collapse immediately into your body experience when you say no, when you reject anything. That means also you cannot get rid of your thoughts, of your negative or painful, resentful thinking by fighting against that. You have to let it just go with a blessing, with awareness. I mean, awareness is the solution. The most difficult part is basically to let the thoughts run through your mind without picking them up, without thinking them, without believing in them, but just to let them go and ask for different kinds of thoughts. Only joy increases forever, since joy and eternity are inseparable. God extends outwards beyond limits and beyond time, and you who are co-creator with him extend his kingdom forever beyond limit. Eternity is the indelible stamp of creation. The eternal are in peace and joy forever. Eternity is the stamp of creation. That means not that the future will stretch out into infinity as you define the future, but it is the forever now. The now is not a collection of many now moments. The now, this moment, is just always the same moment. There's no time really running. The only thing what is changing is your body and the other bodies and the physical world. So in the sense, the real clock is your body, and you look in the mirror and you see yourself changing by time. But when you see in the mirror and you see your face, it's not really you. You're a spirit. You're not changing by time. You are just now. Now is the closest point to eternity you can come. So rest in the now, without defenses against this, and return home to the experience of your true self. This is actually what I want to say today in our reading of A Course in Miracles. This is the way of salvation. With every spiritual practice will say nothing else. This is not something new. This is just an attempt to inspire you to go back to your practice, to be encouraged that you can find the way home. When you know how, it's even easy. You just have to nourish your willingness to do it, to let go the world for a moment, your hopes, desires, invested in it, and just say, oh, maybe there's something else. Maybe my true happiness is totally independent of everything I see outside of myself. Maybe true happiness has nothing to do with what the body has to offer. Maybe it's just pure spirit. The peace is your inheritance. Eternal happiness is God's gift to you. But you have to extend what is given to you in order to have it yours. If you keep it, it will be lost to you. So the ego's thought system of holding back, of keeping, of containing, makes all the gifts of God useless for you, because they're vanishing from your side. Happiness is always extensive. So just not try to be neutral or hide. Just extend yourself into the world. Let your light shine, and you will see that you have light, that you are the light. Thank you for today.